There we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. Hello, Goué. Bonjour à tous. Bienvenue à notre pause café entrepreneur le 21 mars 2023. Welcome to our monthly entrepreneur coffee break. And I stole pause cafe entrepreneur from Regis on LinkedIn. So I learned that that's how we say coffee break in French. So good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is our monthly coffee break, and I'm very pleased to have Regis and Andrew here from Horizon TNL. They're going to be saying a few words about themselves. We're going to have a bit of a chat. So I'm joining you from Pasadena on the west coast of the island. I'm just going to take a moment to acknowledge that Pasadena is in the unceded territory of the ancient Beothuk, and I ask that you think about where you're joining us from today and join me in acknowledging with respect the diverse cultures and traditions of all Indigenous people in our province, especially the Innu, the Inuit, the Mi'kmaq, the Beothuk, and the Southern Labrador Inuit. And so very happy to have you all joining us today. Hello, Sharon's come in. Good morning.
Good morning. I have no camera this morning, but you've got my voice and I can see all of you and hear your beautiful faces and hear your beautiful voices. Thanks, Carol.
Perfect, thanks. Good morning, Melissa, welcome.
Morning. I was just finishing off a meeting, but I'm here now, so lovely
Awesome.
to see everyone.
You too. So thank you. So I'm going to ask for those that are not with Horizon, with Andrew and Regis, if you want to pop into chat, we're going to have an opportunity for each of you to introduce yourselves later on in the session. But if you want to say hello in chat and just give them an idea of who's with us, I think, Andrew, you probably know most of the folks. You've been one of my staunch supporters every month, so you're starting to get to know the network as well. Welcome, Joanne. So I just wanted to give a little review for those who may not have been with us for a while or who haven't been with us before. And I know we do have a couple new folks with us. The Entrepreneur Coffee Break is a monthly networking session for all of those in the entrepreneur ecosystem. So it's entrepreneurs like myself, it's all the supporters like Andrew and others. And it is an opportunity for us to get to know what's going on in this world of ours as business owners, and also what supports are available out there. And I'm just getting a message that my camera has stopped. So let me see if I can figure out what's going on there while I'm chatting away. So this is an opportunity for us to learn from one another, to share our experiences, perhaps come up with some suggestions. It's an opportunity for you to get to know folks. I've actually seen sales happen in chat during these sessions, so it's real time, and you just never know who you're going to meet in each of these sessions. So very pleased to have all of you here today. Started as a pilot doing this virtual coffee break in January 2020. And 3 months later, we all know what happened to the world. And we've just continued doing the virtual. And it gives us an opportunity, especially on a day like today, which it's the second day of spring or the first full day. And you wouldn't know it. Schools on the West Coast were delayed opening, and plows are going by. It doesn't look like spring. So it's nice not to have to drive out and all of that today. And it gives us an opportunity to connect. So each month I do look for a sponsor, and thankfully this month it's Andrew and Regis from Horizon. So formerly known as Rede, which I'm sure they're going to mention for those that may not know that. So Andrew, I'm going to turn to you. I've got your presentation here. So I think you're up first if you wanted to welcome everyone.
Okay, perfect. And for my part, we don't have to go through any of the slides. That's mostly for Regis, but I'll jump in if there's anywhere I can add an extra point or whatever. But so hi everyone, my name is Andrew Hibbets, and I'm the Economic Development Officer for the West Coast with Horizon TNL, formerly known as Rede. And we have offices in St. John's, mainland on the Port of Port Peninsula, and Lab City. I'm the only employee here on the West Coast. All of my co-workers are in St. John's. Normally we have an employee in Lab City as well, but if you know of anybody looking for work in Lab City, certainly send them our way. Just a side note that some of my coworkers are actually coming over to the West Coast next week. We have some events lined up in Stephenville and Corner Brook. So on the 27th, we have a meet and greet networking session at 10 a.m. At the Friendship Center in Stephenville. So feel free to pop me off a message if you'd like to register. We'll have breakfast served by Islanders Restaurant, so breakfast buffet kind of thing, but meant to be very informal. So if you'd like to help yourself to some food, you can, and we certainly love to have you join us. On the 28th, we'll be at the Youth Future Fair in Corner Brook from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Corner Brook Civic Center. So feel free to drop by and visit our booth. Lots of partners should be there, so I think it'll be a very interesting day. And I've seen groups like ANC, so Association of New Canadians, are encouraging newcomers of any age to attend the event. So if you know of anyone, please encourage them to attend. And if that appeals to you as well, certainly, hopefully, we'll see you there as well. And also on the 28th, we have a meet and greet at Le Coin Franco in Corner Brook. And this event is more geared towards the Francophone community, but certainly we'd be happy to have any of you join us. So certainly if you're interested, you can send me a message, and there will be food at that session as well, because we find that's the easiest way to get people out to join us. So you got to do what works, right?
So true.
So in the presentation, we'll dive a little deeper into what it is that Horizon TNL does. But before we do, I'll explain a little more about my role. So I work with job seekers, whether it be, helping them with their resume and helping them find positions that might be interesting to match their skills. Also, on the other side of it, working with employers to find qualified candidates. And I work with entrepreneurs on everything from business plan writing to events for Small Business Week, or translating material sometimes for tourism operators. Not me specifically, because I speak French, but I shouldn't be editing documents that'll be printed. But I'll hook you up with a translator. And there's a lot of tourism related work here on the West Coast, community development and other projects. So some examples of committees or boards that I'm involved on or have worked with would include the Long Range Small Business Committee. We used to just only do Small Business Week, but we've since dropped week from our committee name, and we do events all year round. You might have noticed around Christmas time, there was the 12 Days of Christmas project. We recently did one for Valentine's Day, and now there's even a burger competition with restaurants throughout Bay St. George and the Port-au-Port Peninsula. So if you haven't yet, go out and please try a burger and support these small businesses. And
Andrew, can I jump in for a sec? I
Sure.
just absolutely loved your Valentine's campaign.
Oh.
So for those who didn't see it, their Valentine's campaign was people had an opportunity to send us a Valentine to a business, and they posted them. So I got to learn about different businesses that were there. It was like little mini testimonials for the businesses. It was awesome. I thought you guys did a great job.
Oh, thank you. I wish I could take credit for it, but one of our committee members suggested it, and I was really surprised to see how well the project took off. Certainly, we were all really happy with it, and it was really nice to see all the engagement with it on Facebook and kind of thing. And we did a similar thing as well for International Women's Day, which I think took off really well as well. So that was great. Some other groups I'm involved with, Tourism Southwest. I've done a lot of work with Stephenville Cultural Destination Committee, Community Education Network, and Our Lady of Mercy Complex Committee is one that I've recently got involved with, and we've got a lot of exciting things happening too. Our Lady of Mercy Complex Committee is really emerging as like a tourism player on the Port Peninsula, so it's really nice to see. So lots of exciting projects. Probably one of the biggest projects we did in the recent years was the installation of a cell phone tower for the communities of Three Rock Cove and Mainland, and that was in partnership with ARCO and the Cell Phone Tower Committee. And just one last note before I hand it over to Regis. I'll be leaving for Montreal on Thursday to attend the Montreal Outdoor Adventure Show. So this is a huge event to showcase our province, and last year it was probably the most popular. So if we have any tourism operators on here, or if you know of any that with information that they'd like to share tourism related, just so I can keep it in mind when I'm assisting travelers with planning their itinerary, you can let me know. And that's it for me for now. I'll probably jump in a little bit during the presentation, but I'm going to hand it over to Regis now.
Awesome. And Andrew, maybe pop in your Facebook link for your the one that you dropped the week from. I just drew a blank on the name. Long Range, the small business group.
Okay.
So people can follow if they want, because you do have a lot of events that are happening that people may not be aware of.
Yes, and actually there's a group as well for the Burger Challenge, so I'll pop that in there as well. But yeah, certainly a lot of different events posted on Long Range Small Business Committee, so please click like.
Yes, excellent. All right, Mr. Regis.
Thank you, Andrew. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I have a question, Carol. If I click on the arrows, do we see the slide?
I can move them for you. I don't know, try it. I think if you click them, they only move for you.
I just tried. Do you see a change?
No, yeah, so they only move for you. So I can
okay.
move them for you.
Oh, that would be super nice. Like we can start with slide number 5. Now it's going to be very, I'll go fast over that slide because I don't want to bore you. We're just going to go to the things that are important, right? For all of us.
Sounds good.
And I just came back for 3 weeks of vacation. I went from plus 35 degrees to minus 12, minus 15. So I kind of had a thermic shock here. So I'm trying to recoup from that shock.
Yes,
now,
I'd say.
Yeah. Now, do you see the slide with our mandate? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So just so that you know, obviously we've been here for 20 years. I'm on the East Coast. Andrew is on the West Coast. We're looking for someone in Labrador, obviously, but most of the team is on the East Coast. The idea, obviously, to have more people on the West Coast. That's basically what we want. I would love to see 3 or 4 people on the West Coast to help Andrew, because he's doing too much for himself. Actually, and I know he loves to be participating in everything, and it's awesome. But well, he doesn't really have a life right now. Poor Andrew. But the mandate is basically focusing on the economic progress of the province, using French as a catalyst to drive economic development. Now, be very careful with this. We always talk about francophones. I do not like that. I prefer bilingual, because a lot of times when you speak to employers and you say, well, I have candidates that are francophones, they think, okay, he only speaks French, which is not true. I mean, all our candidates, they're bilingual, so they can work in English. It doesn't mean that they're francophones, they can't work in English. So we're trying to be very careful with this. So we change to bilingual, makes more sense. Okay, can we switch to the other slide, please?
Yep. So we have the services slide now.
Yes, thank you.
I think if you would, it's changed for me. Is it changed? Are everybody else seeing the services slide? Yeah, you may have to You may have to click sync to presenter to get back to where you are with me.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Perfect. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, those are the services that we provide. I'll go fast on this one. We provide a lot of support for immigration candidates. What do I mean? We have candidates that are living abroad, okay, in different countries worldwide. Now, we keep in mind they need to be bilingual, right, for us to help them, French, English. We can help them to actually move to Canada to find, for example, an employer. So those are the services, part of the services we offer. We have one person that's dedicated for that service. Her name is Iman, and she does recruit outside of Canada. We have newcomers. So all the newcomers that are coming to the province, only our province, obviously, we do help to find a job. We help them in different ways. We have different contacts with establishment agencies like Compass. So they will help them to find an apartment, to do their MCP card, driver's license. I mean, everything that would be administrative. So we do help newcomers a lot. Now we do help also Ukrainians, although some of them do not speak French. We are now mandated to help them, like we help the Afghans too. Job search assistance is another service that we offer. Now, you don't need to be a newcomer. You can be a Canadian or not. It doesn't matter. We help you. We actually help a lot of Canadians that are moving to our province to find a job. We do support entrepreneurs. We have some actually some immigrants that want to be entrepreneurs after 2 or 3 years in Canada. So we do offer service here. For that, there's another person that's dedicated to that service. And what's very important here in our discussions is services to employers. For example, if you're looking for someone, you can't find anybody, and you're looking for employees, let us know. Just please let us know, because we do a lot of job fairs. For example, we're going to Montreal in April to recruit. So if you need to recruit someone, you hire someone, you need help, let us know, because we're going to find those people, those candidates for you. And keep in mind, it's free, obviously. So we do have quite a lot of enterprises and a lot of federal organizations right now to recruit bilingual. So this is it's probably like the biggest service we have here. So we do help a lot employers. We offer the different trainings, intercultural trainings too. So we're trying to make sure that, you know, the employer understand what's a new immigrant, the new immigrant understand how to work in Canada. Okay, very important. And services for tourism operators, that's mostly Andrew. I don't know if you want to talk about it quickly, Andrew, if you want to have a word on this.
Sure. So for anyone who doesn't know, we actually do the French version of the provincial tourism website. So when you go to newfoundlandlabrador.com, you click on Francais, it actually redirects you to our website, which is exploretnl.ca. So that's the French version of the tourism website. We also do the French version of the Traveler's Guide, and that's the book that comes out. For our version, it's usually every 2 years. We have had the same version probably for the last 3 due to COVID. So yeah, slowly getting through the copies there, but I think it's actually being I think it's in the process of being updated for next year, actually. So we work with a lot of tourism operators as well through Tourism Southwest. So Tourism Southwest is a levy collector on the southwest coast of the province, and basically is made up of hoteliers. So they collect a tax, a levy when they rent rooms, and that goes towards a tourism fund that's for product development, for, you know, various different things for developing tourism on the southwest coast. So we're involved with that, and actually Tourism Southwest created a translation fund, which has been really helpful for some tourism operators to avail of to translate their promotional materials as well. So that's another thing to keep in mind with that. Yeah, so you know, I guess bigger picture, we do you know, kind of that macro piece of, like, you know, the provincial French version of the website, but also, I guess my role on the ground as an economic development officer is working with these different tourism groups and working on various different projects. But we do have a tourism development officer, Valerie Saltel, and her contact information is on our website as well.
Thank you, Andrew. If we could move to the next slide, Carol, please. Okay, so just an overview. Obviously, I know that you know Newfoundland, but just so that you know, if I'm talking about economic immigration, right? Not refugees, for example. So I'm just narrowing to the economic immigration. In 2022, there were 1,582 new immigrants through the two programs from the province, the provincial nominee program and the Atlantic program. Out of those two, there were only 49 bilingual. Keep in mind, when I say bilinguals today, it's French English, right? So that's about 3% of them, which is not much, to be honest with you. We're trying to increase that number. It's not that we're trying to increase that number to increase numbers, right? We're just trying to find candidates for employers. That's basically what we're doing. So if I can get more people here, that would be super nice. But just so that you know, it's a very small numbers. Now, those are the ones who really come from outside of Canada. We have other candidates already in Canada, for example, Quebec, and they come here to work. Those are not counted. It's very difficult to count those because nobody has any figures about it. Because once you're a permanent resident, you can work anywhere you want in Canada. Nobody's going to trace you, right? Well, probably the RCC, but the others no. So if we can just move to the next one, please. Now, here's what I wanted to focus a little bit today. The advantages of having Francophone immigration, bilingual immigration. It's very simple. When you're an employer in Canada, outside of Quebec, I need to say this. If you hire someone that speaks French, who's Francophone, you don't need an LMIA, which is the labor market impact assessment. Okay, it costs about $1,000 for the employer to do it. It's basically to show that you're not taking the place of a Canadian. Very, simple, basic. Now, when you're Francophone, you don't have to do this, which means that the process is actually faster with a bilingual than with an Anglophone. It's the way it is. I'm not the one deciding. That's how it was decided. We're actually very happy about it, obviously. So we have more and more, more and more employers now, Anglophones, that are using that system because they know that the bilinguals speak English anyway. So they're using that system because they did figure out that it's a lot faster nowadays. So we're making a lot of kind of presentations about what we call the Francophone mobility, which is exactly that point. Now, what we've noticed in some of the employers who have hired bilingual is they can actually serve clients in French or English, which is a big change for them and a great help. It helps them to go to new markets. For example, we have a few companies here that wanted to go to the Quebec market, although most people in Quebec speak English. They might not want to say it, but they do. I know that. So it does open new doors. That's basically the thing. I know we have a company that actually is now dealing with some countries in Africa that are Francophone because one of their I would say their employee now is from Senegal. So that opens new doors, which is good. Now, I think a big benefits too for the employer is that when you hire someone that's bilingual Francophone, you have a whole network behind that person. You need to know that. That person is really helped before she or he comes here to Canada, right? To our province, because we're going to try to find an apartment for that person. We do all the procedures, the administrative stuff that we talked about earlier. And they're going to have our support. So not only the support goes to the candidate, but it also goes to the employer. So it makes things a lot easier because more and more candidates, they will come if they know they have support from us. And that's very important. So there are a lot of things we can do for employers. We can train the employees too, so that you can save some time. So you're going to have a lot of help. The Réseau de développement économique, we're part of it. That's a national networking. It's really national, so we can help everybody here. And obviously, we can bring high levels of education and expertise. Keep in mind that um, to immigrate to Canada, you need to have education expertise. Okay, that's how it is. You need to be qualified. There are some exceptions, obviously, but if we're talking about economic immigration, if you're not qualified, there's no way for you to actually come to Canada. So you know that those people that are coming are really qualified and have expertise. If we can just go to the next one, and we'll be almost done.
Regis,
Yes,
just
tell
before
me.
you do, I just wanted to clarify something because it notes Rede and Horizon TNO. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify that. So our organization has rebranded to Horizon TNO, but Rede Canada still exists. So just so there's no confusion there, we
Absolutely.
don't use the Rede name, but and there's other organizations across the country that don't use the Rede name, but Rede Canada is still a thing. So I just wanted to
Yes,
clarify.
you're absolutely right. Actually, all of us or our names were ready, all of us, and that's why like the Ready Canada covers everything. That's part of we're under Ready Canada, but most of our organizations throughout Canada have changed their name because the reason why Ready doesn't mean anything for an Anglophone. I mean, even for a Francophone, when I hear Ready, I'm like, what is this? You know, I just can't. I don't get it. So we had to rebrand a little bit, and that's it. So if I can have the next slide, perfect. Thank you, Carol. So just some examples of sectors and professions that we have helped in the past. Now, we have a lot more than those, but so that you know, for example, health and social services, we have helped a lot. This sector, retail, education, we're helping them a lot right now. Agricultural information technology with TechNL, for example. Some professions, obviously, you know, doctors, nurses, personal care attendant, software developer, data, everything that has to be with IT, offshore technicians, food manager, and you name it. It's nowadays we are actually trying to help in every sector of the activity in Newfoundland. It seems that everybody needs people, right? Everybody needs employees right now, which was not the case like 3-4 years ago when I started to work here. So let's go just to the next one, and it will be the end of it. Now, examples of employers we help. I'm not going to lie to you. We do help a lot. For example, the Canada Revenue Agency, big time. Those, I mean, they need bilinguals that you can't imagine. I think they were asking for like something like 80 candidates. We probably right now we give them probably 40, I guess. So we're still missing some. We're still missing some. And the fact is they're not the only ones who need them. Statistics Canada need them. Service Canada needs them. The Department of Justice here, that's provincial. Okay, they do need bilingual here. So it's a little bit tougher with them because you know if you work for the justice, it has to be your career. You need to really love what you're doing. Okay, yeah. So but it's getting better. I mean, honestly, we're getting there. Now, this is also why we go to different job fairs in Canada and outside of Canada, because we know we have so many offers. And information technology, we try to help as much as we can take NL from St. John's. And some of the employers, private, you would see RBC Bank. We've done 2 or 3 job fairs for them. They were actually very satisfied with this. Johnson Insurance, we did one a few years ago. We're restarting now. Tim Hortons all the time, Mana Bakery, Ball Airlines, lots of restaurants here that they need cook. It's really in all sectors, banking system. So it's really in every kind of I would say every kind of private employers that will need our help. The only thing that I told you before, and I would love to change a little bit, is the perception they have on what's a francophone. That's why I try to erase francophone and put bilingual. I mean, I'm a francophone. I love francophones, okay, but I'm trying to basically make it easier for all the employees to understand. So this is why I use the term bilingual, because I think people do understand that a little bit better. So that's basically what we do. So I try to do it fast so that we could focus on what's important here. So as I said, if you know someone who's looking for candidates, who's looking for employees, honestly, don't hesitate to contact us. If we cannot find them in Canada, we might be able to find them actually outside of Canada and help you with this. So don't hesitate. The fact is that we do have a lot of offers and not enough, I would say, candidates. So we're just pushing because offers we do have a lot right now, which was not the case 4 or 5 years ago. So that's basically what we do. So if you have any
Awesome.
questions, I mean, go ahead. I mean, we're here to answer any kind of question you would have.
Merci beaucoup, merci. This was why I took French immersion in high school, because they said you'd be able to get a job because you'd be bilingual. And then I married an English guy, and my parents are English, and I lost a lot of my French. And now I live in very English, white Anglo-Saxon Pasadena.
Yeah, but you know, it's what you're saying, Carol, is funny because last time I was taking Bogdan a taxi here, company, and the taxi driver was telling me that his 2 kids, he did put his 2 kids in French immersions, and I was like, well, why did you do it? Right? He told me because if one day they want to work for the provincial, the federal, that's great for them, and they both work for the federals actually right now. So the guy told me was probably the best decision he took for his kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I do believe it. I do believe
Yeah.
it.
And that's what we were told. You know, I started in grade 8. It was late French immersion. This was in Ontario. And, you know, I was at the point of dreaming in French. I went to the University of Ottawa, where they speak to you in French on campus first. And if you don't respond, they'll switch to English. So I was pretty well there. I've lost so much of it now. When I hear it, it can come back. Andrew and I are talking about if I could possibly deliver a very fundamental basic workshop in French. I might try that for him. So we'll see where we can go for that. But I was going to ask that question actually. I think it was out in Stephenville. There was a recent push to save French immersion. Are you seeing like a connection into the schools? Are you able to connect into children that are graduating high school that maybe have taken French immersion? Is that a possible source of candidates for you?
Andrew, you want to answer on the West Coast?
Sure. So actually, our offices are located in the French schools, so in St. John's and here on the West Coast as well. That's not the case in Lab City, but it is here on the East and West Coast. So there has been that connection there over the years. It's been a little more difficult since COVID, like in trying to navigate that and to get back into the classrooms. I think it might be a little more possible now, but for a few years, unfortunately, that was a little more difficult. But certainly there's a lot of potential there and a lot of untapped potential as well, which, like you mentioned about the resume writing workshop we were looking at too, and like that would be certainly, I think, a good tie-in because there are so many positions available and we're filling them as much as we can, but we're still not coming close to how many we need. So tell everybody to study French.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what
we actually need a lot of French teachers on the East Coast because we have a lot of demand for the French immersion program. I mean, most of the, for example, the newcomers here that we have, they're trying to put their kids in French immersion. We've noticed that even like the Ukrainians, they're trying. The Ukrainians are trying to put their kids in the French school. When it's not possible, they would go to French immersion. So we need a lot of French teachers, and that's what we're trying to do right now: hire them, but from outside of Canada or eventually from Quebec.
Okay.
Now, the ironic thing being is that Stephenville did just have to fight to keep the French immersion program. So where, I don't know why that's a thing, especially because my understanding of the situation was that the numbers were actually fairly decent. They have it capped at a certain, or they have a certain target with the numbers, but in comparison to how many were signed up for school and that kind of thing, it was actually a fairly large percentage were looking to go into the French immersion thing. So it was kind of ridiculous that it needed to even be fought for. But thankfully, it's been secured for September. I don't know if there's a commitment beyond then, but hopefully that'll remain there. Especially Stephenville, has such a rich culture, like that history, I should say heritage, of French and whatnot in the whole region. So it would be pretty devastating, I think, to lose that program.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to open it up to the folks on the call. Anyone have any questions for Andrew or Regis? You can just open up your mic, type in chat, whatever works for you. I'm looking at you, Melissa, and I don't mean to pick on you, but I'm just thinking you're in the labor market stuff. And I'm sure some of what Regis was saying probably really resonated. I kind of noticed you nodding your head a few times. That I'm sure some of that really resonated.
I found it really fascinating because the work I do, everyone can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. The work that I do, I work with committees across the province on workforce development issues and, in specific regions and trying to find solutions. And I know, Andrew, that's how we initially met through one of the committees. And none of the committees have ever mentioned, Regis, about this, the LMIA and the faster ability to, if you're bilingual, to be able to move through the immigration process. That hasn't actually been mentioned by any of the committee members or those who have been involved. So I may touch base with you afterwards, because I'd like to know a bit more about how that works with the organization. So I can bring it back to the committees, because again, no one's mentioned it. They've said, well, we know through IPGS, Immigration Population Growth and Skills for everyone, that there is some difficulties as a newcomer moving into the province due to credentials and that sort of thing. But the fact that if you have that bilingual status and you're able, it can make it easier in some ways. So that I hadn't heard. That was actually really fascinating to me, because it does show the abilities, of someone who can navigate through a variety of different, industries and people and be able to expand things a bit more. So I'll touch base with you after.
Cool.
Just to see if there's a bit more there that I can bring back to the committees and see if that can help them with their planning in their regions.
Cool. Yeah, I know that you have like provinces like or territories like the Northern Territory, Northwestern, or you have provinces like Ontario or BC that are really pushing for it, and they're really explaining what francophone mobility and all the advantages. But yeah, truly, it's cheaper, and you're saving quite a lot of time. So a lot easier to hire someone. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which I find, and I'm like you, Carol. Like, I didn't do French immersion, but I always wanted to, and I was always going. I hear, if you're bilingual, you'll get a job. You'll be, and I think it's important to promote that a bit more, especially to the youth in this province, because having that bilingual status, French and English or another language as well, will just help expand their knowledge, but also I think the knowledge in the province.
Yeah, absolutely. My younger daughter went to UNB, University of New Brunswick, and has met and fell in love and is getting married over in Nova Scotia now next year. But she's moved up to Riverview, where her fiance is from, which is just outside of Moncton. So there's Moncton on one side, Dieppe on the other. They go English, French, Acadian, all throughout the day. And she's finding all of a sudden, if I had really kept up with my French, things would be slightly different.
Yes.
And her fiance, of course, can speak French. So he's now working in security at the French hospital, had to interview in French. I've never heard him speak a word of French. Yet he interviewed in French, passed his interview, and now he's working at the French hospital. And he said he's probably 60% of his day spending talking English. But he can speak French, so he got that position. So it's again, an opportunity that it's not necessarily a specific career. It's just an added skill and an added edge.
Exactly.
That you
And
could have.
I think a lot of young people might not. I think, again, you said it yourself. We're in Pasadena. You're in Pasadena. It's very one language. Like it's it's like a large majority of rural Newfoundland. But knowing that you have that ability and having that extra skill set and being able to speak in other languages, I think we really need to promote that a lot more. Across the board, because it just does, it opens up everything, and we don't want people to leave the province, but if they do and they end up in BC or in Quebec, or they'll have that ability, and then could they bring that back to the province and benefit us as well in some way, if that's the progression.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that struck me, Regis, when you were speaking, and Sharon and I were at an event last week, speaking with Ashley's colleagues, actually, with Enlo. We were speaking with Deb Yowden, who is the export consultant. And I know for me, I'm looking to do a soft export into Atlantic Canada. Of course, New Brunswick is a bilingual province. So one of the things that you said kind of got me thinking that maybe my clients themselves now, I don't have the need for French. However, if I had a bilingual employee, could that person then connect with new markets because of that? So I think for those of us on here that are business owners, that's something to kind of shift my head, that maybe my local market isn't in need of it. However, maybe down the road, this, having a bilingual employee could potentially open up new business, right?
Yes, I think actually I have an example. No, it's not from here, it's from Quebec, but I did help someone a few years ago in Quebec. He couldn't move here, but that person is from Mexico, so he speaks English and Spanish. And because he was hired in a company that does kayaks, now they're actually exporting to Argentina and Chile because of that guy. So he goes and make the trip, but you see, did open a new market for that company. So it's I think it's great not to underestimate the newcomers and probably the new immigrants when they speak the different languages, because I do believe it can actually help a lot to discover new markets, honestly. Now you'll hear a lot more. Now I'm not going to lie to you. I speak a lot Spanish in St. John's. The Spanish community, the Latino, I would say more the Latino community is getting bigger. When I came here like 4 years ago, I think in our group we were about 40. My wife is Mexican, that's why I'm part of the Latino community, and I used to live in Mexico for a long time. But we're like 40 nowadays, like 3.5 years later. Just that little group, we are 385, something like this, in 3.5 years. And it's growing. So you have another community that speaks Spanish here that has a that actually can also help employers. So what we're trying to do too is we're trying to help them now create a horizon, like our organization, but for the Spanish speaking Latinos. So we're trying to help them build kind of the same organization as us. So we have different partners with them. But it's honestly, it's becoming very interesting. You see, even in St. John's, you see products that you didn't see 3 years ago, right? From all the countries. It's great. It's great. So
Yeah.
we're going in the good direction, I think.
Excellent. I mean, it opens doors, right? To have another language, and just really gives you an opportunity to connect with people in a different way. Sorry, Melissa, you were just jumping in there.
That's okay. One question that I just had that as you were talking, Regis, you mentioned the Spanish community growing, and that made me think of Costanza with Task Force NL. And so I'm wondering, is there connections? Because if Horizon is working with employers to, recruit, and that, is there any, partnership or collaboration with Task Force NL to, and I know they're looking at newcomers in general, but is there anything there that you're collaborating with?
Not yet with her, because I think they were actually helping the Ukrainians a lot
Yes, Ukrainians.
lately. So not yet, but as soon as everything will be put in place, yes, there will be a lot of partnerships. I know that we're helping them, so we have a partnership with them, and sometimes we do help their candidates, the Latinos candidates, to find work. Although it's not technically part of our mandate, but we're here to help everybody, right?
Right.
I'm not going to say no to someone who doesn't speak French. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
So
No,
yeah,
that's
and that would
perfect. I
be
think that's a great
that would be
partnership when you get
ridiculous.
it going.
Yes. So it's we're building it right now. So hopefully everything will be settled in a few months. But we've been working on this for like probably almost a year now. So it takes a bit of time. You need some funding, some from the immigration here in the provincial immigration. There are a lot of things to do, but we're actually doing pretty good right now. So hopefully in a few
Wonderful.
months, we can launch everything and help them as much as we can, obviously.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I think those partnerships between organizations you're seeing much more of, and really that's kind of why I wanted to start the virtual coffee break. Was my family always makes fun of me. Anybody that follows me, I've written newsletters on this, that I don't drink coffee, but I go for coffee, and they're always like, "What do you drink and what do you do?" And I said, "Look, I'll drink hot chocolate in the winter and milk in the summer, but it's an opportunity to talk and connect." And I discovered how many people want me to be successful was mind blowing. So to hear organizations coming together and partnering and doing, cross promotion of each other, and that's really what sort of this coffee break for me is representing, is bringing us as business owners an opportunity to meet those agencies that want to help us, and then also as folks with meeting other entrepreneurs, or also the not-for-profit sector, which often runs themselves as businesses. So, you're making those connections as well. So I think it's great to hear that. So I'm going to jump to our list of participants and give everyone a chance to kind of say hello and let folks know who you are. I'm going to start at the bottom of the list and just work my way up. So Sharon, you're up first, and then Samantha. So if you're able to, Sharon, pop open your mic and let everyone know who you are and where you are and what you do.
Here I am.
There you are.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't have my hair done. Don't be in shock. So welcome. I've really enjoyed this morning. I was just in there typing a message that I had to pop off because I got to get ready to go to work in Corner Brook. But I really enjoyed this morning. And no, I'm not Francophone. I wish I was. I did French from kindergarten right on up through till grade 11. And I wish I had paid more attention now. I do somewhat, un peu, a little. I can order a coffee or get directions or ask for help if I'm in an emergency. But I'm Sharon Evans. I live in Pasadena. I own and operate Siva Meditation. I'd love to be able to get in there with the tourism and offer my services. I do all kinds of services, teach all kinds of meditations to groups and individuals. I do live, in-person, Zoom. I'd love to offer my services anywhere I can. I just can't do it in French. So thank you, Carol, and thank you, everybody, for today. See you soon.
Thanks, Sharon. Awesome. Samantha.
Hi, I'm Samantha O'Brien. I'm with Atlantic Edge Credit Union. I am the manager of commercial services here. This has been awesome, honestly, just to kind of get to meet some new faces and hear about other opportunities or other organizations that are doing some amazing work with entrepreneurs. And I'm definitely passing some of your contact information over to our HR manager, who's desperately looking for several people. So this has been great, and I honestly, Carol, thanks for always hauling this together. It's been awesome.
Excellent. Thank you. Samantha, for those that were with us last month, we did an in-person in Pasadena, and I don't know if it was just because it was Winter Carnival and people were festive, but we had 37 people, I think, that were just desperate to be in a room with people. So we had a fantastic event. So they sponsored our event last month. So thank you again for that. Mike, I'm going to go to you if you're able to. I know Mike's not feeling the best, but if you're able to open up your mic, and then Ray, it'll be on to you.
Hey guys, how you doing? Mike Rotter, I work for the town of Stephenville, economic development, but I also have community and industrial development are being added to my little suite of tasks to do. So definitely very glad that I did join, because I'd never heard of the ease of immigration pathways really for francophone people, because I'm in the process right now of just beginning to write the town's immigration plan. Because I don't know if, I know some of you obviously know what's going on in Stephenville, but some of the big industrial projects that are potentially going to take place that could result in significant population growth, potentially even double or more if everything works the way that that the the various companies that are looking to move here and work here happens. So obviously, a huge part of that is going to be the francophone community. I kind of feel that we don't really do enough as a town for them. I have heard some sort of high-level discussion over having a dedicated French school. I don't know, Andrew, if you might know more about that than I do, but I've heard talk about it. I don't know how far along it is, but potential sites were being discussed, and that's about as much as I know, which would be amazing to encourage that. And for sure, if the doubling of the population does happen, that would be something that would be essential here. On the tourism side as well, one of the things that we do have as well, and the ever lengthening list of to-do things, is STAR program through ACOA, Strategic Tourism for Areas and Regions, and obviously that would have a significant, it'd be for the whole of East St. George, and therefore would have a huge francophone component within that of bilingual business operators in that kind of environment. So yeah, very interesting, and Andrew, we definitely need to catch up more often and try to collaborate on certainly on the immigration plan too.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, reach out anytime and we can get together and have a chat. Just to go back to what you mentioned there about the French school, my understanding, the last I've heard, and Regis, please correct me if I'm wrong, was that they're looking at the Francophone daycare for Stephenville at first, and then depending on how that comes about, if that, works out as planned, then potentially looking at the French school.
I actually, on the topic of the daycare, I actually have a work term student from CNA coming in here beginning May 15th to do a 5-week work term on daycare strategy.
Okay.
With a focus on underserved populations, children with exceptionalities, and that'll be a good meshing of the minds to get in on that discussion with them too.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll definitely have a chat.
Awesome.
Sounds.
Thank you.
Excellent. What better way to build a school than to build the farm team at the daycare first? Just keep them moving on up through the system. That's good. That's actually a pretty smart strategy, I think. Ray, we'll come to you, and then Joanne.
Hi, everyone. Ray Miller. I'm with the Long Range CBDC here in Stephenville. This is a great session. I mean, I have a lot of small business clients here. A lot of them are looking for employees. They're finding it hard to find employees. So this, this could be an avenue for some of them to find, maybe kind of jump the line, so to speak, and get themselves a bilingual one. It wouldn't go astray for sure. Although I work in Stephenville, I'm from Cape St. George. Well, I'm not from Cape St. George, but I live in Cape St. George. My spouse is bilingual. My daughter's bilingual, but I'm not. And I guess just to be a little bit different, instead of, during COVID and you're looking for something to do, I went on Duolingo. I'm not learning French though. I'm learning German. But, I can't say I'm bilingual. I'm not totally fluent in German yet, but I'm getting there. So, yeah.
That makes me think, Ray, there was a friend of mine down in York Harbor. Their business is in York Harbor. She lives in Lark Harbor. And there was a tour bus that came in from one of the cruise ships. And the cruise ship was full of German tourists. And they ended up in Lark Harbor at the United Church, where they had little, craft fair and coffee and tea and everything. No one spoke English and no one spoke German in the community. So they're trying to point to these people to say, drink tea, coffee, like there was not even anybody on the tour bus that could do the translation. So that's it. You got a new gig in the summer, girl. Go meet the cruise ships coming in.
Two drinks tea. Two drinks coffee.
There
a
you
lot
go.
Of the words are almost the same as English anyway. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's I was shocked. I mean, I don't know why I didn't even think of it, but I was shocked to think that a cruise ship would arrive in Corner Brook full of German tourists. Not just German, I imagine, as Regis talked about, the Latino community and like other, we sometimes I think have to think really beyond just what we have on the ground, and the fact that people coming into our province are coming from all areas. So very interesting. Yeah, just made me think of that. She's like, we were down there trying to sell our knitted goods and nobody could communicate.
That's it. Yeah.
Joanne, and then Melissa, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say anything else you want to mention about what you do. Thanks, Ray. I know. There you are.
It took me a moment to get that done. So thank you very much for having me here today. I am one of the board of directors of Our Lady of Mercy Complex Committee, which actually owns and manages the Heritage Church Complex in Port West. I guess on the entrepreneurial end, we are certainly looking at expanding and creating a better business model. We're looking to become kind of the anchor when you enter the Port Peninsula. So we're expanding our season and we're expanding our offerings and having some very interesting and collaborative, creative things happen this year. We have Miracle and Mysteries Tour. We have bucket lunches in our new gardens. We have beach boil-ups available for people to come and DIY, do your own. And we also have a little entrepreneurial run this year. We've created our own craft collective. Not only do we take the work of local artisans and sell in our shop, our committee is actually making craft kits to sell for people, incorporating local components. So, for example, we just finished creating kits for doing beach glass to sell in the shop this year. So we'll see how it goes this year, and who knows where that may expand. We do have limited tours in French. We actually found last year, especially in May and June, that we had a lot of French visitors, and at the time we didn't have anybody there who spoke French. Through the summer, we had one of our 6 students who was bilingual, and that was certainly a really good benefit for us. Same as everybody else, I have a little tiny bit of high school French and could communicate sparsely. But this year, we're actually going to endeavor to have at least somebody on every shift who speaks French. And so with the students coming out of the high school system here who are bilingual, I'm hoping that won't be too much of a challenge for us. And very interested to hear everybody's perspective, and thank you for having me today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Melissa and then Emily.
Yep. So I'm Melissa Fever, Workforce Development and Engagement Coordinator with the NL Workforce Innovation Center, or NLWIC, which is CNA based in Corner Brook, but is provincial. So my job, as I sort of indicated, was to work with a variety of government departments on committees across the province on workforce development issues that they may have. And Andrew was on our Stephenville Port Bass Committee. We have specific members, government members, and then we have local stakeholders. So there's a couple people here. I've taken your names, so you may be hearing from me to just maybe come on and have a chat. Oh, and Emily, I think you, Go Western was actually on our committee for Corner Brook before for a couple of meetings as well. Lexi came on. But yeah, so I'll be touching base with a few of you and try to get my fingers and hands on you to come and talk to my committee members. So. And again, thanks for this. This was great. And thanks for the reminder, Andrew, because it'll let me get out of the other meeting and come in and hang out with all of you. So
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. Emily and then Edwina.
I was going to say good morning, but I guess good afternoon. I'm Emily Fraser with Go Western Newfoundland. I'm working from home today because I flew on the red eye last night, so excuse my appearance in my kitchen.
Not a problem.
I've been with Go Western for the last 5.5 years. Prior to that, I was the bilingual visitor service attendant with Parks Canada and Grossmore National Park, and I was also a bilingual tour guide with Bond Tours on Western Brook Pond. But since then, I've been living in Corner Brook, and I haven't engaged in the Francophone community at all, so my French has become extremely rusty, which is a little bit sad because I'm now going to Montreal along with Andrew this weekend, and I will have to use my rusty French to communicate with our potential visitors to Western Newfoundland and Montreal. And new this year, so last year was my first year attending that Montreal show, and new this year, after realizing that we need to have bilingual materials, Go Western Newfoundland will now have a French guide just for Western Newfoundland that is totally just in French. And we actually had a lady, I believe iTranslate, who translated that document for us. So one of the things that I hear a lot about tourism operators in Western Newfoundland, especially those that offer tour guides like kayaking tours, hiking tours, they have a lot of French visitors, and they are often looking for, it doesn't even need to be a French staff person. Sometimes it's just they need somebody for like 1 day a week who can just jump on and join a tour and communicate with those French visitors. So I think that's mostly what I wanted to say. Go Western Newfoundland's office is in Corner Brook in the Commerce Court building. Actually, it's on the second floor just above the Coin Franco. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you for joining us today. My older daughter used to work at Lowman Campground with Kill Devil. And every year she had a gentleman from Quebec who would come down, and he would test her, and she would speak French to him with her high school French, and he would practice his English with her. And, they got to know each other over the 5 years that she worked there. So yeah, we do get, French tourists for sure. And they're popping in and out when you least expect it. But he was a solo guy. He'd always come down by himself, and she knew, what type of campsite he wanted, and she would get to practice her French, and she loved it. So yeah, I can see what you mean. It's maybe not full time, but infrequently, it'd be nice to have, I'm sure. Excellent. Edwina and then Bobby Joe.
Good afternoon, everyone. Edwina Bateman. I'm an entrepreneur here in Port aux Basques. I offer training services, HR training services, and I had actually, I have to say, excuse my voice if it sounds scratchy. I think I might have that same bug that Mike got there. I get a little bit scratchy there, get a bit of a head cold. So if I start coughing, I'm just going to put myself on mute, and please forgive me. I had the pleasure of meeting Andrew recently in Corner Brook, and my first time hearing about Horizon ENL. So I'm really delighted to tune into this today because it's been very beneficial. I will start by saying on a personal note, I'm one of those wannabe bilinguals as well. I've made several attempts to be bilingual, but there's always seems to be something that derails your good intentions. And that was one of my bucket list items, is like, I want to speak French. And I started and I never seemed to get far with it. As an entrepreneur and the role that I play, I recall just not that long ago, it was interesting because doing this now has certainly broadened my my knowledge in terms of the services you offer. And just recently I was approached by an organization asking me for training, but they also wanted it done in bilingual. Could I also provide it in bilingual as well? And of course, I cried and said, no, I can't. I wish I could. But anyway, lost a client. On the other side, I was just thinking about, I'm in Port aux Basques, and there are, a couple of areas here that require bilingual services and for workers as well. Like we have Marine Atlantic here, we have the Coast Guard here, who if you've got French services, if you are bilingual, you've got a good edge getting your foot in the door. And as Carol alluded to earlier, you're always told growing up, if you know French, you got a good chance of getting your foot in the door. So it's certainly interesting to know that this is so close by, the services that you provide. And I'll certainly keep it in mind, not only for myself as an entrepreneur, but I'll keep it in mind for my clients as well, because I think there's a great need for sure. So delighted to be a part of this. And thank you, Carol, for offering this service. And thank you for sponsoring it, Horizon NL. Excellent. And have a good day, everyone. And I made it through. I didn't cough.
You made it through. You done good. Edwina is graciously going to be my sponsor in May. She's going to be sponsoring our coffee break at that point. So her and I will chat some more about what we're going to talk about on that particular session. But I'm really glad you got to make it. And Edwina, I saw you were in the news recently too with all of the. She's been working very, very hard, this lady, for her community following Fiona. She's been a very key player in that community, and they're very lucky to have her. And I know that you've been taking on a lot, both personally and professionally, trying to support your community. So thank you for doing that. They're very, very lucky to have you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you.
Bobby Joe and then Ashley.
Hi, everybody. It was a great session today. Lots of good information. I've heard of Horizon TNL because I work closely with Andrew on the Small Business Committee. So like I said, my name is Bobby Joe, and I'm a career and employment specialist with Women in Resource Development Corporation. I serve the entire West Coast. I'm the only one over here as of now. So what I do is I work with women. I help them prepare, enter into, and navigate the whole career process, whether it's decision making or going to school or applying for jobs, all those things. And occasionally, we would also have somebody come in who might speak of starting their own business. So it's nice to have all these community connections that I can outsource and get some resources for them. Also, I had it all right here and now it's gone. Oh my gosh, it's Tuesdays. I tell you, fake Mondays are worse than the real ones.
That's right. It was a holiday yesterday for some.
It was. It just throws you for a loop. But yeah, like I said, I work with women. Our main focus is trades and technology. But I mean, any woman that comes in through my doors, I've had them go in and explore careers in nursing, business, office. So, if you're a woman or gender diverse, I would work with you 100%. So thank you so much for this session today. Lots of good information. I appreciate connecting with everybody.
Excellent. We're so glad you're able to join. I imagine, Bobby Joe, for the trades and everything now with all the development on the West Coast, that could be a really big opportunity to work with women to get into the non-traditional fields. Although I don't even know if we can say that anymore, because I certainly see way more women in trade than you did many years ago.
Yeah, we do have a lot of growth with women coming into these trades. And like right now we're doing with all the Tech NL funding that's coming out, right now we're recruiting for our OTT program, that's orientation to trades and technology. So the intake for that is going to be, I believe it's the last day of August of this coming year. So actually meeting with Robert in Corner Brook tomorrow at the New Innovation Center to discuss options for doing a big information session for Corner Brook area for the OTT program. And we're actually looking at bringing that Tech NL OTT presentation up the Northern Peninsula to the Tri-Town area of Port Sanders, Port Oswego, Hawke's Bay, River Funds, just because we wanted. It's exciting and it's great to have the opportunity to attend virtually, but we want to bring the energy and the excitement in person to the little nooks and crannies of the island. So that's something that we're exploring right now too. So it's super exciting.
Excellent. Awesome. So glad you were able to make it.
Thank you.
I know you've tried in and out, you've popped in and out of events over the past, so. Excellent. Ashley, thanks so much for popping in.
Hey there, thanks so much for having me. Lots of familiar faces on the call today, which is great.
Mhm.
So I'm Ashley. I work with NLO, which is a Newfoundland Labrador organization of women entrepreneurs, and I'm the Western Startup Advisor, and I'm based in Stephenville. So we help women entrepreneurs start and grow their businesses. So in my role as startup, I assist with business plan counseling, advice on conducting market research and gathering information relevant to starting up your business, assistance in identifying sources of financing, access to the self-employment assistance program, and identifying networking and training opportunities for our entrepreneurs and clients. I also work quite closely with Andrew, Bobby, Joe, and Ray as part of the Long Range Small Business Committee. So all kinds of exciting things happening there. And yeah, that is pretty much everything that I do.
Awesome. So go into Bobby Joe, find out about the trade, get the trade, go to Ray, get some money, start your business, and work with Ashley. Makes sense to me.
That sounds like
hire
a
a bunch of people and hire Edwina to do the HR stuff.
Yeah.
I think we can make it work.
That's
And
a
if you need
good
some
plan,
more,
Carol.
yeah, and if you need some more funding, Samantha can help you out. So there you go. We just got it all knocked off. All right. I think that's everyone has had a chance. So thank you again. For Andrew and Regis, there was a note in chat. I don't know if you picked up on it, but Hillary King joined us. She's with the Atlantic Study and Stay program. She had to pop off. She's got a career fair coming up. So Regis, she'll probably be in touch with you. They work with the international students in their last year of study, trying to assist them in staying in the province. So whether that's getting jobs or starting businesses. So certainly she made a comment there that very appealing to her. So if you hear from Hillary, that's what that's about. She also works with a couple not-for-profits, so she's always got different hats on as well. All right. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Yeah, can I add something real quick there? Something that might surprise you, but I wanted to thank all of you, because you might not know this, but it's because of you that we exist. Okay, it's not because of the Francophones, it's because of the Anglophones. The recognition that we get from our help, it doesn't come from the Francophone. If I had to wait for the Francophones, I mean, I would be dying, okay? But the recognition comes from the Anglophones, and it comes from all the partnerships we have with all the Anglophone organizations like ANC, Access, MON, TechNL, I mean, you name it, okay? We have a lot of partnerships, and it's because of those Anglophone partnerships that we exist. It's very important to know this, and this is why everything we do is with partnerships. So for us, don't think that, we're just like Francophones and we work Francophones. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We work a lot with Anglophones, and I tell you, this is where we get our recognition. So for us, it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Awesome. Excellent. And that's to me, anyone who knows me knows that relationships are my thing, and it's bringing people together and the networking. I'm actually doing a session with Hillary next week with her students on networking. I'm just such a big believer in it. My business is word of mouth. I know Edwina's is the same. Sharon, who was here earlier, is very much the same. Our province, while it may be large in geography, is very small in community. So to me, this is how we get known, our names get put out there, we get to know the agencies that are there helping us. And honestly, without all of you from the different agencies cheering us on, I don't know what about Edwina, but I'm sure she feels the same. Like you sometimes just need to know that somebody wants you to succeed, even if I can't directly use your services or your programs. Just having those cheerleaders sometimes is really what we need as small business owners. So thank you for all that you folks do.
I concur, Carol. Absolutely. And it also gets very lonely being a solopreneur.
It is.
So it helps. So the networking is fantastic. That's part of your social life too.
Exactly. My husband does this to me. I'm a talker, and I said, yeah, but now I get paid to talk. So it's all good.
You just reminded me of something. If I could just intervene here, I have two friends, actually. One is a hotel owner and the other one is a lawyer. And I recall them having a conversation about being paid for, you know, talking or whatever. And that's what the hotel owner said to me. She said, I get paid, she said, for talking. She said, what a great job I got. And then my lawyer friend looked up and said, well, I get paid by the word. How good is that? So, yeah, I kind of had us both there. Absolutely.
I thought of that. How could I change that? My gosh, nobody would be able to afford me.
Yeah.
I'm too verbose. So talking about networking, our next session, I just confirmed this morning the date. It's going to be in 3 weeks because I'm actually going to be out with Ashley's crew at the Enlow conference. So instead of middle of the month, we're going to go a little early. April 11th, I'm going to have a follow-up email sent out with a recap of our session, and I will certainly put in the registration link. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't signed up for my email, please feel free to do so. Scotiabank is going to be our sponsor. Ian Martin out of Corner Brook is going to be joining me. We're going to talk about the Scene Plus reward program. So there's a lot on the go. Air Miles has been changing, and Scene Plus is kind of the new and up and coming. So he's going to talk about that program and connection with Scotiabank. I also think, to me, this is going to be an interesting conversation. I can tell you, my husband is a reward program junkie. He absolutely shops by reward program. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. I think I'd love to hear what people think about, you know, do you buy at Shoppers or Dominion because you get Optimum? Do you buy it somewhere else, you know, because of whatever? So I think it's kind of an interesting conversation to have. So the April 11th is going to be our next one. And then in May, as I mentioned earlier, Edwina, who's here with us, is going to be my sponsor for May. Looking for a sponsor for June. So if anyone's interested, let me know. If there's any kind of topic or guest speaker that you'd like to see at a coffee break, this is your community, so please let me know. I'm always more than willing to go ask someone to jump on to our calls, and most people are pretty gracious enough to do so. So if there's a particular topic you'd like to see, please let me know. So a couple things that I just want to touch on. So Andrew's got a meet and greet March 27th in Stephenville. They've got their youth fair in Corner Brook on March 28th, and also a Francophone connection in the evening, open to all, however. Monday is my community connection. Thinking for you, Joanne, if you're still on with us, it's a not-for-profit community networking event. We've got Quinn Jesso from Community Mental Health Initiative as my guest speaker. She's going to talk about burnout and volunteers and how that, when we work, often we work in not-for-profits because it's a passion, and yet we can get pretty burnt out. So she's going to come and talk about the services CMHI offers, and that's happening same time as this, 11:30 to 1 on Monday. It was supposed to happen yesterday, but we moved it for the holiday for some. Ashley's conference for Enlow is coming up in St. John's in April 18th and 19th. It's a week-long road trip for me. I'm bringing some people in the car. We're gonna crank on the tunes and drive into St. John's and have some fun networking and learning. Anyone else have any other events they'd like to promote that I may not be aware of? There's lots of stuff on the go, lots of opportunities. So thank you, everyone. Merci beaucoup à tous. I'm very happy to have had you here today. À bientôt. Nemolstis. We'll see you next time. Keep an eye out for registration for next month. Would love to have you on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Merci, monsieur Basti, Regis, and Andrew. Andrew and I have been talking about doing this one for a long, long time. So I'm really happy we finally got to get it underway. And really happy to see those connections happening. So thanks again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Dankeschön. Yes, I'll have to add that one now, right?
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.